Love it. So let's get started because
Let's do it.
I want to hear more about this yummy cake.
She wants to talk about the pudding.
Yeah.
The pudding. All right, so we're in the Stone Creek kitchen this morning, and we have a very special treat for you as part of the 75th anniversary of Taliesin West, the winter home and the studio of Frank Lloyd Wright. His foundation is, in fact, sharing some of his favorite recipes. And joining me now is Sean from Frank Lloyd Wright Foundation, who is going to make his favorite birthday cake. It's nice to have you on the show, Sean.
Thank you so much.
Happy
it's wonderful
Monday
to be
to
here.
you.
You too.
It looks like you've done a little bit of the prep work for us.
I have indeed.
But this is eventually where we're going to go.
Yes.
Tell me about this recipe.
It apparently, the story is, the legend is, that it contained everything that he really liked that his doctor restricted later on in his life. So it has strawberry jam, it has walnuts, it has much whipped cream, it has chocolate, it has this luscious cake, and it put all together. And then the flowers also traditionally are edible flowers, which those happen to be. And it was his birthday is June 8th. And so every June 8th, although at Taliesin West you'd have beef for 150 people size cake. But that's really how that came about. I think Mrs. Wright probably invented it to get all of his
favorites.
Flavors.
Well, let's put some of these favorite flavors in here. It looks like you've already put the eggs and the sugar together.
Right, exactly. It's 9 yolks and a cup and a half of sugar. And then the flour, I'm just going to dump. I'm not very elegant here. And that's a cup and a third of the flour, which would be easier to do with an electric, but I'm trying to avoid the noise.
The noise. Oh, well, we appreciate that because it allows us more time to talk. I don't remember the last time I made it from. Well, you know what? I don't know
it's
if
kind
I've
of a lost
ever
art.
made a cake from scratch. I've done kind of the modifications where you take a box and then you add other ingredients to it.
Okay.
But so, what's the key to making sure you get a nice and fluffy?
No. I think it's actually the egg whites. No, I need a little bit of water would be good because this sat so long, but.
Here we are.
My bottle is...
Here we are.
Perfect,
all right.
Yep.
So, just a little dabby?
Just a little smidge. Yep, perfect.
Alrighty. Let's talk a little bit about Taliesin West and the 75th anniversary that you guys have.
As you mentioned, it was the winter home and his studio and also his architectural school, and it still is that. We have the students go back and forth. They migrate as they did during Wright's time, so they spend their winters here and their summers in Wisconsin at Taliesin. And I think I mentioned to you, last year was the 100th anniversary of Taliesin in Wisconsin. Exactly. Okay. So we had lots of whole year-long celebration of that. Okay, now I'm going to add these, which I did, in fact, pre-whip.
Are those egg whites?
These are the egg whites from the 9 egg whites.
Now, if people are trying to get that fluffy consistency...
Oh, you add a little bit of cream of tartar. Which is, again, one of those things that if people
just
don't
bake...
Just a little dab? 1/8 of a teaspoon. But,
okay.
Or,
let me help you with that.
Yeah.
Yes?
I'm going to need the scraper again. Woo!
Consider me your Sue. You ask and I will get it. Okay, back to Taliesin West. You have a lot of things going on over there, in fact.
We do.
A lot of social events, right?
We do. There's one of the ones that's coming up that I'm really excited about. We used to do, for several years, these public performances. They were called the performances, festivals of music and dance, and Mrs. Wright wrote the music and did some of the choreography. Her daughter, Yolvana, did choreography, and if any of you have been there, there's a beautiful sculpture garden. All the pieces are done by Eloise Christa, and she also was a choreographer. Some of the costumes and headdresses have been unearthed from storage, and they're going to be on display at Taliesin West. We're having sort of ladies' night with nibbly bits and wine and whatnot.
I like nibbly bits.
Yes, I do too. And there'll be a talk by a longtime fellowship member, Indra Berenson, on the women of Taliesin West. So it's Mrs. Frank Lloyd Wright, and then also some of the other long-term apprentices, and one of her mother, Cornelia Brierly, was the first apprentice ever to Frank Lloyd Wright, and she's still there. She's going to be 99 in a couple days.
Wow.
And
you need one of these for her.
Yes.
So they can share it. Well, stick around. I'm going to let you wash your hands a little bit, and then coming up, we're going to kind of further this recipe along a little bit.
Perfect.
We're going to make some sauce, and then we're going to assemble it. There's all sorts of layers to this. There's more than meets the eye on this one, for sure.